Thank you for joining us again. Now we're going to be talking about the steps in the IEP process.
Okay. Slide 5. So steps in the IEP process. And these are the first two steps, so identifying and assessing. So in identifying, we are observing the student, we're asking questions, keeping anecdotal records and reviewing student records. And when we're asking questions, we're asking a lot of different people. We're asking the teachers, the parents, other people who work with that child. It might be EAs, it might be other teachers from different subject areas, depending on what level you're teaching. And reviewing old records that you've come across. Historical information is considered to be 2 years, so you can use anything that's up to 2 years. Sometimes it's helpful to have some background history just for your own knowledge to see where that child has come from. Assessment, again, using historical information. Use current information. That's really important that you've got current assessments and observations. Identify strengths and weaknesses that student is demonstrating, and use a variety of assessment techniques. So, academic achievement is a way to look at assessment. You can use interests as strengths or needs, self-concepts, communication skills. Learning style can be really helpful for certain students. Look at the attendance. Is that affecting what's going on for them with working towards goals? Social skills. This may or may not be more important for some diagnoses than others. The student is on the autism spectrum, then you'll really want to make sure that social skills are part of that IEP. School behavior, and also having a look at their problem-solving skills. How are they coping with those types of things? So you can include all these types of assessments and observations in your general assessment for your IEP.
The IEP process. So we've done the identifying and assessing, and now we have all of the information we need to put together that IEP. So the questions we can ask ourselves, where is the child experiencing difficulty? What is the psychoed report telling us? What is the classroom assessment information telling us? So in other words, what's the nature of the problem? And the how will it be addressed? That's where we think about and put together those long-term goals and short-term objectives. We also think about who's responsible. Obviously, primarily in elementary school, it is the classroom teacher who is responsible, but working under that classroom teacher's guidance, we could have EAs. In middle school and upper school, the learning strategies teacher could be involved. And we also think about where will the instruction take place. I mean, we want the student in the classroom as much as possible, but sometimes other options are the best. So we would document that if the integration support teacher is going to work with that student, it could be in whatever place in the school. And who's going to evaluate each of the short-term objectives towards the long-term goals. So all of that is documented in the IEP. So if there is a physiotherapist who is developing a program for the child, and maybe even if that physiotherapist is just showing the teacher how to work with the child, or
Exactly.
Then that person would be included as an IEP team member on the front page of the template,
Yes.
and then also identified in the coordinated support services section.
Yes.
Okay. And then throughout the year, we're looking at constantly monitoring, is the child meeting the objectives? And if so, great. If not, maybe we look at the child, but we also look at the objectives. Maybe they weren't appropriate. Maybe we need to design new objectives. And then we look at the teaching methods. So we do, evaluate the child and assess the child's progress, but we also do an environmental assessment of the teaching strategies. And then if something isn't working, we revise it. The long-term goals are just that. They're annual goals. They stay in place. If we have met a long-term goal by April, we don't necessarily create a brand new one, or we don't revise, but we do change the objectives if we need to. We can change the teaching methods for short-term objectives, we can alter the timelines, or we can change the learning environment. So pretty much everything is modifiable except the long-term goal, because when we write it, it is broad. It's designed to last for the entire year.